Hello and welcome, everyone who will be watching and taking part in the interview. I am Colin Birch from the Good Newspaper, and with me I have the lovely Rodney Norman from the United States. He's a stand-up comedian and an amazing one at that, and just general positivity spreader. He is a force to be reckoned with. I'll say that much. But yeah, I'll post the. I'll how can I say? I'll start it off in your court. So Rodney, tell us about the comedy scene, all right? What was it that drew you to comedy? What was the impetus that really started it?
I think it was as a kid. I was a middle child, and we didn't have the easiest life. Never didn't always have a lot of money, and my mother was always stressed out, and so I kind of took it as my goal and my mission in life was just to make my mom laugh and just do silly things around the house, and it was just something I was drawn to at a very young age. I just enjoyed making people laugh. I thought it was what what better thing to do with yourself than uh, bring a little cheer to the world? And as I got older and started living my life, kind of get away from it. And my wife, she kept she kept pushing me to do comedy. And at the time, we had we had a kid and another, two kids and more on the way, and bills and life and work and everything. And here I'm supposed to be the responsible adult making money, and here's my wife saying, "No, you need to go do comedy." And I finally just started, I finally got on stage and told a couple jokes, got a couple laughs, and thought, this is it. This is my life calling. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just never looked back. And it's been a blast. And then, with as the world just gets more ridiculous and crazy, I see more need than ever before for people to laugh, because we're all going to go crazy if we don't.
Oh, Rodney, that is you've hit the nail on the head there, my friend. Truly, truly. That's amazing. And so wholesome that that was actually the starting point, that it was actually your mother that was the driving point for it at first. And then also the just the amazing support that you've had from your wife and your family and that to actually to go and do that. That's incredible. Wow. And as you say, it just kind of happened. It just clicked. And you've never looked back. You've never kind of doubted it. It's just been this has been you.
Yeah, this is it. This is what I do. I wake up in the morning. My purpose in life is to bring a laugh to other people. Just enjoy the day.
No, that's beautiful, truly. I've also noticed from some of your live shows and also the video content that you've done on YouTube, you have quite a peculiar stage presence. And I was wondering how that came about. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is based in neuroscience. Um, my goal on stage is to entertain the full brain. Because the words that we use are only about 30% of our communication.
Mm.
That leaves 70% that we're not doing anything with. We're not that's unconscious to us. We're communicating and we don't even realize it. But our but we're also picking up cues from other people that we don't realize. So there's this subconscious level going on. And I think it's been ignored by most comics. We just get up there and we just tell jokes, and we're really focused on the words that we're saying, and that we're saying it just right. And I've really tried to focus on everything else. And people don't even realize it. I hear people say, I'm laughing and I don't know why. And I know exactly why. It's because I'm up there, it's weird, it's cumbersome, it's awkward. And you yourself, if you were up there and you were acting that way, you'd be embarrassed. You'd be like, you'd be mortified that you look like an idiot. And so I've kind of leaned into it. I was just like, I'm just going to get up there and just be awkward and weird and be what everybody would be afraid to be. and have fun with it.
Okay.
And so that really is the driving force behind, but especially the way I do my live performances is I'm there to do it the wrong way. That's my goal, is to do everything wrong, because the way everything is in this whole world, with the artificial intelligence and all these different things, being able to make things perfect. And we're really losing our humanity because we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And when we try to make things perfect, guess what happens? They become boring and uninteresting.
Or even
And
possibly
I want
worse.
to get away. I don't want to be perfect. I don't want everything to be just exactly right, because life isn't that way. And I want to have fun. I want to goof off and be silly.
That's very real of you, Rodney. I really, really like that. It actually shows that the child within you has actually survived all this time. It seems as if, because truly that's such a unique way of going about it. To me, when I watched the comedy, I was wondering whether it was a particular tactic to get the audience to kind of be more, or how can I say, to kind of break the ice quicker. If I could say it like that, they can be more comfortable because, there's already some guy that's goofing up on stage that, you're essentially, by not taking yourself seriously or as seriously, you allow the audience to do the same thing. That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Anytime you're performing, anytime you're in front of an audience, the audience is vicariously living through you. You're representing something for them or about them. And when you can really just get up there with confidence and just be silly, I think everybody likes that. When you see these videos of people in the stands at a sporting event, either basketball or a soccer, football game or whatever, and somebody's in the stands and they're dancing and they're just being a just complete idiot goofball. Man, we love those videos. We love to see those, the old men acting like an idiot. We like to see kids just going crazy and being silly. We're drawn to that. We love that. If it's a video of a guy, the video, the camera comes on a guy and they just sit there and go, nobody's interested.
Mm.
But the dude that's jumping up and taking his shirt off and running up, that's interesting. Why? Because you want to do that, but you're scared of it. You're afraid
Mm.
of it. And that's what I see is I want to do everything and be everything that you're afraid of. So that you can realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be scared of, to get in front of people and be honest, to be vulnerable and open and be who you truly are. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not going to end your world if people laugh at you. In fact, it's liberating. It's exciting. It's fun. And you should do it. You should make a fool of yourself as often as possible,
Yeah.
because you realize there's no power in it. There's no you're all this stuff that you're afraid of. It's all in your head. It's all nonsense and it's silly, and you need to let it go.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, Rodney. I really, really like that. And to your point, right? It's everything is so safe nowadays that it plays into that as well, where you're actually allowed to, not have to be on your best behavior all the time, or have to be so concerned about what everybody else is continually thinking. You can kind of let go, because we're all people. We all share emotions. We all share experiences a lot of the time too, and so breaking down those barriers to allow us to actually be more in communion with one another is like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing that I feel comedy is like perfect for at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. You said something interesting about how we um well a good example of what I'm thinking is, I hear this all the time. People say that when you speak in public or you perform, that you need to relate to your audience. Well, that's nonsense. I'm never going to be able to, if I get in front of a room full of brain surgeons, I'm not going to relate to their experience. I don't think the way they do. If a nuclear physicist, I'm not going to think the way they think. I can't, and if I try to pander to them, it's going to come across as silly and I'm going to miss the mark if I'm trying. But what I can do, I can't relate to everybody in that audience. You know, you get in front of a group of people, of 100 people, you're not going to relate to every single person in that room. But as a performer, what you can do is get everyone in that room to relate to you. Instead of trying to go into their world, you bring them into yours.
Mm.
And so when you're doing that, you're gonna what world is it you want to create? What is it you want to show about you and about your experience that they're going to be able to relate to? And that's where you find that connection. But as a performer, or in your own relationships, it's not about you identifying with them. It's about you being able to express yourself in enough a way that they can understand and relate to you. And that goes through everything in life, really.
Mm. Wow, okay. No, that's actually very salient, a point you've just made there. I didn't quite, I wasn't quite on that track. I was thinking of it in different lines, but that makes a lot of sense, and I can see why. It's yeah, again, it's the breaking down of those barriers that allows other people into your the world that you inhabit, and then they can see it from that side. I mean, oftentimes I feel that we are very limited by the perspectives that we hold, and so another benefit that has is allowing people to kind of see a different perspective a bit easier than it might usually be, because they're so stuck in their own seriousness of their own world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's how we break down those barriers, is just being able to be vulnerable and silly, not be so, we want to present our best self first. We want everyone to think that we're the smartest person in the room and that we're most put together and everything. And none of us are. None of us, we're all a complete wreck.
Indeed, indeed. It
We
happens.
all have weaknesses and we all fail miserably all the time.
Yeah, yeah, no, it does happen. And on that beat, actually, thank you for bringing it up. I actually wanted to ask you, how do you conceptualize failure in your life, and how do you tend to, or what advice would you give to people who are dealing with or who deal with failure, and how to alleviate feelings of, let's say, inadequacy or um, inferiority that go along with the failure
Well,
mindset?
I was raised like my grandfather, my uncles, my dad, my whole family. We were into auto racing, and I just loved it when I was a kid. We'd build race cars, we'd race all the time. It was my whole world. And my dad was a mechanic. He was a very, engineer oriented, and it was interesting because we'd go, you go one week to the racetrack and we'd lose, and something would break or something, whatever. And then we'd go back the next week and we'd win. And here we're racing against a lot of the same other race car drivers. And some weeks we'd win and some weeks we won, and, different things. And instead of getting upset when my uncle would lose, um, it was fun watching my dad because and this is something I remember sticking with me. My dad was saying that you learn more when you lose than when you win, because when you win you think you've got it figured out, but when you lose you know there's something better to do. And so he always looked forward to losing. We would go and race other places against other in other tracks, somewhere in a different place, against people that we didn't know, who were better at racing, who had more money and had faster cars. You learn more about racing against them than you did people that you could beat. And so we were always, we were, touring and going and racing against people that were faster than us. But that made us better because we learned something from it. And that was something ingrained in me as a kid, is that failure is part of success. that when you have those setbacks and you have something that goes wrong or you don't succeed at something, that's where you learn, that's where you grow, and that's where you get better. And I see it all the time, especially in comedy. I've seen so many people who come into comedy, and as soon as they get on stage, they're just very funny and everybody thinks they're amazing and they're very talented, but they go nowhere with their career. I mean, they're just really funny, but nothing ever happens. And I think part of that is that they're like, oh, well, I'm funny. Obviously, everything's going to happen for me now. Um, but part of that is that they just don't realize they still need to grow. You still need to learn the business. You need to learn how to promote yourself and find people. And you have to get funnier and you have to get better at your craft. But if you already think, oh, I'm it already, you're never going to improve. The ones who make it in this business are the ones who start out, they're horrible, but they love doing it anyway. And they just keep getting up there and failing and doing joke after joke that doesn't land, and it's terrible and it's embarrassing, and audiences think they're a horrible, miserable person for wasting their time. But they keep doing it. And then they get better and they get better. Those are the ones who succeed. Those are the ones who will go on and really make something of themselves. The ones who are a complete nervous wreck when they start. I remember this one comic, Shane Smith, who, when he first started, boy, he was nervous. He was worried about, he was didn't have enough time. He didn't know if he was funny enough, and I remember a show in particular we were doing in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and he was worried about having enough time and if his jokes were funny enough, and we were talking about it. And I remember telling him, I said, look, just get up there and have fun. Just trust your instincts, because you are funny. You're the only reason you're even on the show is because you're funny. But just do it better. If you fail, you have a joke that doesn't work, try to figure out why it didn't work. Don't sit there and say, oh, I'm bad. It's not about you being bad. It's about you um not being practiced enough, not being focused enough. And as you get focused and you get better at it, you get funnier. And as you get funnier, uh, you realize all these different things about you and about your performance, and you start opening up and you do more. And he's gone on to become absolutely brilliant storyteller, an amazing comedian. Now he just blew up. He's in working every comedy club in the States, and he's done tours in Australia and all over the world. Great comic. And I remember seeing him when he was, just started. It was terrible. He was horrible, but he stuck with it and he got stronger and stronger. And now he's just absolutely unstoppable. So,
All right, all right. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's again a very important point you've made there for everyone and anyone in general who is possibly suffering from something like that right now, where they've, put their heart into something and it didn't quite work out. And now they might be quite dejected about it. But instead of viewing it like that, seeing it as, okay, but because I failed, now I have the capability to look at what happened, why it happened, and how I can improve upon that, in the next experience. And, it might just be even like 5% better the next time. And that's fine. A step is a step
yeah.
in the right direction. So yeah. Very, very good point you've made there. Thank you. Thank you, Rodney. So moving right along, I wanted to ask what your current life philosophy is, if you do have one.
Current life philosophy. Well, ultimately, I have my suspicions of what this life is all about, but ultimately, we really have no idea.
Hmm.
And whether it came from a wise and omnipotent being that is loving and created this all for us, or if it's just a big series of happy accidents. Regardless, we are here, and this is amazing. I mean, whether it's a gift from God or just a series of happy accidents, this is amazing that we're here having this experience, and we should appreciate it for what it is and love it every single day. I remember I woke up this morning next to my wife, and I just uh, I just love just looking at her as she's lying there asleep, and just before she woke up, I just because I know this that I mean that life is fragile. My brother just passed away um, a few weeks ago, and life is just fragile. And while you've got it and it's here, love it and enjoy it for every moment that you have with it and with the ones around you. And that's the way I live my life. I'm just grateful for everything and grateful for the people in my life, grateful for opportunities like this to share with other people, grateful that people like what I do. Um, just that's my
Mm.
philosophy. Just love it and
Gratefulness.
just be grateful for what you have, you know.
Mm. Again, that's beautiful, truly beautiful, Rodney. I feel like that's something that, yeah, that most people almost wish that they could achieve, that they wish they could be grateful, for not that they don't have anything good in their lives, but sometimes it is difficult to see through that negative, or
For sure,
the
sure.
suffering in general, and especially with our emotive cycles that can really do us in sometimes. It's not the easiest thing to always be grateful. So do you possibly have any practical tips for people in that regard?
Um, I hate when people like compare say, well, at least I'm not that person, or at least I'm
Mm.
not that, or I don't have this, or I don't, that. Because um, I think it puts the wrong focus on it. Instead, um, I think the idea of being in the now, and I know people misunderstand this concept, but what it really is when you just look at just take moments uh, in your day and just think about where you're at and what you're experiencing, and you realize, hey, I'm safe right now. I'm not in danger. Um, I'm not I'm not I'm not famished. I'm not diseased. I'm not in pain. Or if you're in pain, maybe you're not as in much pain as you were before. I mean, if you just start realizing, hey, I have an abundance of things. I have really everything I need. I have it, or I have the means to get it. And when you just start focusing on just, hey, right now I'm happy, right? And happiness is something you just choose. It's not something you obtain. It's not, you don't climb a mountain and, hey, I have happiness now. You just decide to just be happy and just look at yourself in the mirror and smile and say, I like you. I like my life. I love everything around me. And when you just appreciate everything that you have in your life in the moment you're experiencing, I mean, this is an amazing time to be alive. It seems scary. It seems um, like we should be all terrified, but it really is an amazing time to be alive. All the things happening. I mean, we're living in history. You think of those times, oh, if I could go back in time and visit this historical event, you're here right now. You don't have to travel. You're already here. You're in this moment. Look at what would you do if you went back to some a major historical event? What would you do? You'd run around and want to experience what it was like to be there and see people and meet people and see things and have experiences to really take in that moment. Well, you're here right now. Enjoy you're part of history right now. Enjoy this moment. Take it all in.
Mhm. Wow. All right. Thank you, Rodney. Again, that was I love your positivity. It's actually infectious. I mean, just from this little conversation that I've had here, I almost feel like I'm ecstatic. Excuse my monotone voice. It might not show it, but I am, believe me. Yeah. But carrying on then. First of all, I did also want to say my condolences for your brother. Yeah, never a fun thing to go through. Always tough. But how long ago was that now?
He passed away in January.
January. Okay, so
Um,
rough, well, fresh.
yeah, yeah. And but he had been ill for quite some time. He'd been battling cancer over and over again. In fact, he had time. He bought his own casket and did artwork on it. He
Wow.
was an art, and so he pinstriped his own casket, and then he pinstriped the same designs that he has on his casket. He did the same thing to his wife's motorcycle so that he could still be with her whenever she went riding her motorcycle. It was
That's so
nice
sweet.
because he knew that he had been sent home by a doctor to die years and years ago, and he's been kind of holding on. I mean, we were grateful that we got a few extra years with him than what we were expecting, and I still I miss him, and but I'm just grateful that I mean, it was really, if you've heard that song, "Live Like You Were Dying."
Hmm.
That's what he was doing. He's like he didn't have a lot of energy. I mean, he didn't get to go bull riding or jump out of airplanes or anything, but he was enjoying every moment that he had, with the people he was with. He was when you were with him during those times, he was with you and he was experiencing you because in his mind, this could be it. This was the last. And so you don't waste time talking about what's going on in the world. You focus on the things that are here and now. I mean, think about that. The people that have gone on in your life that you wish you could have had that opportunity to say what was in your heart. You really had those opportunities. I had that opportunity with my brother several times to be able to just really have great conversations and knowing that at any moment that this could be it, that this is the last time I'll ever see him. And I got to experience that, to know when he was gone that everything that I needed to say and felt that he needed to know, he did. And now I carry that to every relationship, how important, because we don't know when it's going to be over, at any moment, a car accident or who knows, a solar flare could come and wipe all of us out.
Yeah.
You know, this could be over very quickly. So just love, just say, hey, I'm just gonna every person I'm with, I'm just gonna be here and just hope that you know they know that I love and appreciate them for who they are, and I'm just gonna enjoy this every day. We wake up and go, wow, I get another day to do this. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, 100%. That I'm actually, wow, I'm so glad I asked though. I was a bit nervous about asking about that, but I'm glad I did because I'm so glad to hear that he, even though he was suffering from, I'm not too sure what the illness is, you did mention it. Oh no, cancer, you said.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But even then it allowed him to essentially free himself in a sense from all the things that used to drag him down or carry him down, and he, in a sense, it allowed him to live the life that he more would have
yeah.
wanted, really. Yeah.
He the idea of a future was gone. He knew he didn't have a future.
Mm.
All he knew was what he did have was right now, and he was going to enjoy right now because it's all he had. And when you realize that we all are in that same boat,
Mhm.
or, you know, that's when it hits you. When it's like, wow, you see all this the worry about the future and all worry about the things that happened in the past. It's like none of that matters at all. What here it was here and right now. This is it. This is that what matters. I did a video this last week because I posted something and people say, oh, today's the first day of the rest of your life. And I've heard that many times, and it's supposed to be a renewal. Okay, I'm going to recommit
Mm.
my and something about it just never really sat good with me. And then I realized today isn't the first day of the rest of your life. Today is your life. This is it. This is the whole thing,
Yeah, this the present.
you know.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's I mean, at the end of the day, right, change is inevitable. There's nothing that can last forever. And so I suppose, yes, a way to alleviate the stress and the anxiety and some of the negative emotions that are floating around that would be exactly that, to focus on the present that is right here, and not the things that are continually changing per se, but or enjoying them as they are continually changing, not trying to hold on to them, which is difficult, but it takes some getting used to.
Yes, yes, it does.
Mhm, mhm. All right, so now for a little bit of a different question. If you, Rodney, if you had a superpower for a day, what would it be, and what would you do with it? And why?
What would I do with it? This is an easy one for me. I would love to fly, to be
Okay.
able to just fly, to just be free, just go see everything from a bird's eye view, just see the world.
Mhm.
I would just love that. It would just be an amazing thing because when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite things to dream about was flying, and uh, and not just in an airplane. I mean, an actual
Yeah.
just like Superman all the way out. Superman. That was what I would love to do.
All
I would
right.
just the freedom of it.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I would probably wouldn't mind being able to fly myself. Yeah, very freeing, no doubt. But on the topic of flying as well, where have you traveled in before in your life, or where have your favorite places been to travel? Should I say?
Um, I think I've been to Hawaii many times, and I love the islands of Hawaii. Um, I lived in Japan for a year, in Okinawa, with the Marine Corps, and I had the opportunity to go to Thailand, and I just absolutely love Thailand. The people of Thailand, the place, the culture, I just loved it. I just love people. I love just getting to meet people, you know. And I think there's something I know a lot of people are worried about travel because the language barrier, but that's becoming less and less of a problem with life. Because of technology, we're able to, but even without that, I think there's something beautiful about being able to communicate with someone without being able to use words. There's something amazing about that. I remember having real conversations with people in Thailand, and they didn't understand a word I was saying. And I didn't understand a word they were saying, but we were still laughing and joking with each other, and I just love that. But I love Thailand. I spent some time in Norway. Um, that was fun. This was funny. We were going to do this military exercise in Norway for a month.
All right.
And so before we went, I went and got some books on how to speak Norwegian. And so I was starting to learn Norwegian. And I got to where I had about 100 words. So I had a functional vocabulary. I felt really confident about it. And so we go, and it was kind of a weird deal because we set up, I was a radio operator. And so we would set up radio sites um, to assist in this military exercise that we are doing. And the place that we set our radio up was in the football field of a elementary school. I thought it was, a primary school. And so here here we are, these Marines, and we're setting up all these big radio towers and stuff, and antennas and things. And when they would have recess, the kids would come out to play. They came in and would stand around and would stare at us and watch us, in a circle. There were these Americans, with all these military vehicles outside. It was quite a fascinating thing to come and watch. And so they're all kind of standing around staring at us, and we're all working, and we're not nobody's saying anything to anybody because it's we don't know what to say, and here they're scared. Are they supposed to talk to us? We talk to them. And so finally, I just kind of looked at one of the kids, and I spoke to him in Norwegian, asked him, how are you doing today, and how old are you? And I don't remember any of the Norwegian now, but. And he answered me in Norwegian, and then he finally and in perfect English, he says, "Don't you speak English?" Like, well, yeah, I do. I didn't know you did. He says, "Oh, yeah, we all learn English. It's yeah." And I'm like, "Oh,
Well, okay.
okay." And so then we just started talking and laughed, and they were asking, and we came and we showed them what we were doing, and talked about what was going on. I let what we could share, um, and we'd play uh, football with them, and just have fun. It was just it's kind of a bunch of kids on
Yeah.
recess. Why not have fun and play? And it was one of the funnest experiences I think I've ever had was um, uh, it was that moment of that kid just looking at me going, "Don't you speak English?" It's like I've been so worried about being able to speak the native language, and and really felt proud of myself. And then when I started talking to him, I realized I was coming across like I was a 2-year-old kid. My level of understanding of the language. So
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Actually, it's I can only imagine. It just reminds me of of what the general thing that happens is, we build things up in our minds, and then something like that happens, and it's completely just throws everything out that we were thinking or
yes,
might have
yes.
been worrying about. Yeah, it's awesome. All right. So yeah, oh man. Have you traveled at all with your comedy, or has it just been with the Marine Corps and or holiday?
Oh no, I've been into every single state in the U.S. and I'm just the U.S. is huge,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I'm just on the road constantly. So I go home to vacation. I
Oh,
really don't. I'm not home very much because I'm just on the road all the time. So
all right, all right.
which I enjoy. I love traveling. So
Yeah, I was actually going to
we'll do
ask.
more. Yeah, we're hoping to do more international travel in the next year or so.
All right, all
But my
right.
wife's my wife's got a passport appointment today,
Ah,
so she'll get her passport. Now we're going to be able to start venturing out a little bit more.
well, we wish you all the best for it, so that you guys might be able to venture out into the wide world again.
Yes,
All right, so I just have one more question for you, Rodney. If
yes.
you had one wish for humanity, what would it be?
Oh, wow. My wish is that every human being would know that they are loved, are worthy of love, and that others want to and accept the love from them. I think a lot of our problems in this world are people just trying to get something, trying to obtain something, trying to, what they think is improving the world. But really, when it comes down to is a lot of the anger and the hate and rage and hostility we're experiencing is because of fear. But if you feel loved and appreciated, you don't do things in fear. And that would be my wish because I think if everybody felt loved and appreciated, we would have a lot less problems in this world. And that a lot of people just lash out and hurt others because they're hurt themselves. And if I could just somehow just magically just that would be it, that everybody just feels loved.
Mm. That's powerful. That's a powerful statement you've just made there, Rodney. It's as you say, it is a cycle that seems to be quite prevalent, that of the fear, and out of the fear response, an immediate lashing out or reaction that is generally not what would have been wanted in the moment. It would have been preferable to go about it in a different way. And as you say, yes, the fear is one of the things that drives us to do that. And I think, at least from my own experience, I think it's also a factor of an attempt to try and make sense of and rationalize things, in a world where often things are not very rational. And so, yeah, we kind of get tied up in our heads, essentially arguing about words in our own heads, far too often. So yeah, I think that also plays into it. But again, very, very powerful. I think that is a beautiful place to end it on. Knowing that, or yeah, I wish that everyone would know that they are loved, that they are worthy of love, that they are appreciated. Yeah, that's astounding. Thank you so much, Rodney, for your time. I really have enjoyed this interview thoroughly. I would wish you all the best with the future of your career, and yeah, I'd love to chat again sometime, and catch up, see how it's been.
That would be delightful. Thank you for having me. This has been very enjoyable. Thank you.
I'm glad. I'm glad. All the best, Rodney. Have a lovely time. Have a great week further. I'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Hey, hope you're having a super friggin' awesome day. Okay. Okay, bye.